Thanks, Paul.
Amy, we're live. Please.
I know we're live.
Please.
This is so awkward. All right, we'll give everybody a second to join in, get those notifications on your
Mhm.
YouTube, Facebook group, wherever you guys are watching. Maybe we're also in Twitch today. I think we've
We
got
sure
Twitch
are.
working.
And Periscope.
And Periscope. Wow, it's been a
All
while.
3 of you on Periscope.
All right, well, I see everybody is piling in now. Hey, everybody, I'm Amy.
And I'm Paul.
And welcome to the Comics Hall. It is
Boom.
the final day, the final issue
Mhm.
of our trade paperback that is the Comics Hall Takeover this week. You guys should all remember what a trade paperback is from our Monday show. It is Friday, the 20th of August. We've got a fantastic episode for you guys. We're still not done with the Takeover. I know it's the end of the week, but we still have things going. So we've got some news. We're going to recap what else is going on as we wind down the event. We've got an amazing interview coming up shortly. And then we're going to just talk to you guys about some comics.
Yes.
So, Paul, you want to take us into kind of what's left for the Comics Hall Takeover?
So this is the last official show that is going to be streamed everywhere. So buckle up, enjoy. If you do want to just keep the party rolling, head over to side.show/geek group, join the Let Your Geek Side Show community. You can also join our group, which is the local comics society. Head over to side.show/your LCS. Me and Amy are in there more than I think the main group now. Because we just get to talk comics all day. So that's, it's great. And you guys have been really great in there. We've got a couple hundred new members in there just this week. So it's growing, but we still love to hear you guys go in, talk comics, drop news. And me and Amy went live randomly and talked about the Eternals trailer yesterday. And why?
Surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, I surprised Amy and I was like, hey, do you want to do this thing? Let's go do it.
But that is a great place to reach us. A lot of you guys have been tagging us in posts. You've been sharing your own comic collections based on the discussions we've had. We're going to go over some of that later today, see what kind of conversations are popping off right now. But you guys I love the fact that people are taking the conversation, continuing it there. So side.show/your LCS is the place to continue all the comic book fun.
Yes. Tenchi Misaki says, if this is the final issue, does this mean the show will return in 6 months with a new creative team and retcon everything the series did? No, I think Al Ewing is taking over the show after. So it'll be great.
I personally can't wait to see our character redesigns for the new arc.
I want to I'm going for the Hellfire Gala, get up.
Okay, don't even get me started on if Russell Dodderman drew me, I would die. Anyways, so you said this is the last official stream. Do we have a wind down in the Geek Side show?
We do. We have an episode of that Sideshow show at 5 p.m. Pacific. We're just going to wrap up the entire event. We're going to show off some of the submissions from all of the giveaways that we've had. For people asking, we do have another giveaway today at 3:45. I believe that is over on the Comics Hall Facebook. So it's just at the Comics Hall. That's at like 3:45, I believe. But other than that last giveaway will be it, unless you join us for the after party in the Let Your Geek Side Show Facebook group for that Sideshow show. It'll be fun. Amy, I think you might be on. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll stop by for a little bit.
Okay, Amy will stop by for a little bit. We'll go and hang out.
If I'm contractually obligated to finish the week.
You legally can't say no. You have to do the show, or else we're taking away your Rolls Royce. Amy.
I'm gonna call my lawyer about that one. He's a little guy over in Hell's Kitchen, but we'll talk about that.
It's Rob. We've got a ton of stuff going on, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us all week for the Hall Takeover. We've Hall Week for the Comics Hall Takeover. Why do we call it Hall Week? Dang it!
Next time.
Well, should we get to our interview? I'm really excited. We talked with him a little bit behind the scenes, but I'm really stoked for you guys all to meet him again. We were telling him before, but we have been pretty high on his book. A little book that I have recommended how many times? I don't know.
Like every other show.
Any chance that I could. Everyone, please give a huge internet warm welcome to Mr. Chris Condon, the writer of That Texas Blood. How you doing, sir?
Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing great, thank you.
Doing well, man. Welcome to the Comics Hall. And again, we talked a little bit before the show, so it feels nice and warmed up. But thank you so much for joining us. Again, everyone here will recognize your name at least. We've got some new readers specifically from the show who are really high on That Texas Blood.
Well, it's amazing to hear. It's really cool to hear that people are enjoying our book and pushing our book. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Megan, one of our one of our normal watchers says hi, Chris. Getting a lot of highs,
Megan.
highs there. Folks are. Again, I know we've gotten at least a couple people in our group who've said they picked up the book. Me and Amy have again talked about it quite a bit. Now, there are going to be people though who don't really know who you are. Maybe they haven't seen the book. There are a lot of books out there. So if you could possibly introduce yourself a little bit,
Sure.
tell everyone, maybe obviously what you do on the book. We know that you're a writer on the book, but I'm sure the capital W writer doesn't encapsulate everything that you do on the book.
Sure, yeah. So my name is Chris Condon. I am the writer of That Texas Blood. I guess you could probably say that the idea originated with me originally. The character of Joe Bob was originally in a short film that I'd written called Past His Prologue. There was a different thing called That Texas Blood, and I basically mashed them all together. But yeah, I'm a writer. I write the book. I write all the back matter for it, and sort of. Yeah, I that's what I do. I don't know. I'm rambling.
No, please.
All good.
We love it, and you brought up an interesting point. It's something that everyone out there who watched the Monday episode now knows what the word back matter is. We told you guys that we're just gonna be throwing out these terms.
We did like a comic book term dictionary, and it was surprisingly informative for the quality of conversation we have on this show. Yeah.
So one question I have, Chris, specifically about like the back matter is, like, there are full-on, like, for That Texas Blood, I think you started it in issue 1 or 2, but like full-on essays, it seemed like, that were being written. Just the thing that I'm always curious about is, like, how do you know which parts of, like, which to leave in the core story of the book and what to omit into, like, the back matter? Like, how do you sort of put that on paper and decide?
Right. So, I mean, in the first arc, it started with issue 2. In issue 1, we had a letter, which I was currently finishing up my undergraduate degree, actually, because I dropped out many years ago, and I ran it by my English professors and made sure everything was, all the I's were dotted and the T's crossed. But yeah, the back matter itself, in terms of fiction, started with issue 2, and it was a short story, the serialized short story, which the main character Randy had written. And so the point of that to me was you didn't need to read it in terms of understanding the story they were telling within the comic book, within the panels. It would serve as a bonus for the people who wanted to explore the world a little bit more and maybe explore the character's psyche a little bit more. That one was about a almost brother-like relationship between two guys, and the story in the comic was about two brothers in a way. So I wanted it to reflect it in that way. And in the newer issues we were having, so it's a private investigator is introduced in the final page of issue 7. And his name is Harlan Eversole, and the back matter is all of his investigative material. And that has been really fun to write. But again, you don't need to read it if you're one of the anti-back matter people, which there are people. They've messaged me on Twitter. No, but
weird how that happens.
It serves as it's like an extra layer. If you wanted, it adds a layer to the story in a way. It's not necessary, but it adds a layer to it, and it also embellishes the history of the county itself in a way, because the investigator is investigating what's happened previously and sort of trying to connect the dots to why things are happening now. So it serves as just extra material to help immerse you in the world, which is stuff that I love. When I read a book, I love that kind of stuff. So that's what I've been trying to do with our book. And Jacob has been absolutely killing it with the designs, and my buddy Mike Tivey stepped in and did issue 8 material for us, back matter material. But yeah, if it wasn't for Jacob, I doubt it would look as good as it does. He really does make it look just authentic.
Yeah,
it's just nice to have that extra layer of immersion. I know we've gone in circles with our audience about this and the kind of new wave of Hickman's X-Men that are all sending emails to each other, and it's like, oh, I didn't expect like the X-Men to send emails, but it's like, is that material critical to your understanding, or does it just enhance, but you can still get the full story?
They're telepaths.
What do they this email could have been a telepath note.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean,
very cool.
I've talked to certain people that they don't like back matter, they skip it. I'm somebody who I like to read it all. Like, even if it doesn't really add anything to the story, I still read it. For our stuff, I really wanted to have it be a reward for people who did read it. They get a fuller experience of that Texas Blood if they do read it. So.
Yeah, and for people if you are visual learning, and like, again, if you're listening on the podcast in a couple days, it's going to be a little difficult. But so like, this is, I'm not going to spoil too much of what people can see here, the comic proper, and this is what Chris is talking about as far as like the back matter goes. It's got like, I like the coffee stain as well. That's a nice touch.
Yeah,
that's fun. Just if you've never seen it,
that wasn't just you spelling coffee on your comics, Paul.
No, it actually, when I first read 8 the other day, I was like, this is the exact size as my coffee mug. It was
I'll give you a preview of issue 9. We have a transcript. From an unpublished music magazine transcript.
Nice.
So, yeah.
You guys heard it here first.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of my favorite pieces Jacob did. So I'm really excited for that. And then issue 10's even better. So keep reading.
Just keep getting better.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there. I think one of the things that's really interesting that you mentioned pretty early, and I don't remember where, but it was an interview that I had read that you had done, that how many issues you want this to go.
Yeah,
right? I think something around the 30 mark or something. Like, how do you decide? Like, do you already like you've got it fully plotted out, all 30 issues?
Yeah, so I know where things are going. I hope I'm able to keep to 30 issues. I just like the idea of 30 issues. It's a nice round number. Yeah. It's we're not going indefinitely where people are going. If people don't like it, they're like, what's going on? What are they doing? And I think 50 would be way too much because at the time it was my first book. We didn't know how people were going to react to it, but I liked knowing the full story of, what we wanted to tell in the county. And, we lay enough stuff out as well in the back matter, especially, where we could potentially pick that up and do a separate thing if we wanted to. But this story that we're telling about this county and with these people, because that's really what it is. It's not just Joe Bob, it's the county in this particular time frame, jumping from probably about like 1955 to current day. Like everything that's been happening has been leading up to now. That's I lost my train of thought there.
It's definitely nice to have an arc to shoot for, though, and go. We're not just going to keep doing it to do it. Like, there is a definitive story that hopefully you do get all the space that you need to tell.
Thank you, Ryan.
Nice,
Ryan Bragg sounds interesting. I'm picking up that Texas Blood. Thank you, Ryan. That is, if you guys, with all the books that we've talked about this weekend and anytime we're on this show, if you do end up picking them up, we always want to hear about what you think about that. Let us know how we're doing. But it's always great to know that you guys are getting interested by these titles. Now, Chris, I know there's a couple different answers for this because we straddle both the professional and the personal, but what was your first, or what are your earliest experiences with comics? Again, personal or professional. Like, what got you into this?
Yeah, so what got me into comics was probably the introduction of the character Batman with Batman '89. We had the VHS of it, and me and my brother watched it endlessly. It's a tattered copy now, but we still have it.
Well loved.
Yes, exactly. And then really though, like in physical comics, my parents were never into comics. My parents never read comics, as far as I know, aside from like Archie Digest when they were younger. But or just the funny pages in a newspaper.
Hack.
But for me, it was probably in 1997 when Batman and Robin came out. Maybe not the greatest movie, but what they did was at Toys R Us, they did reprints. There's only one Batman movie in which Batman and Robin are thrown into a vat of mint chocolate chip ice cream.
And there you have it, folks.
Living the dream.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it was probably that introduced me to the physical medium of comics, which they did reprints of the first appearance of Batgirl and Mr. Freeze, who was Mr. Zero originally, and then they also published, I think, the Poison Ivy issue with the Carmine Infantino.
Okay.
Art. I think that's probably where I was first introduced to the actual medium of comics. And there was a comic shop in town, which has since closed. It closed many years ago at this point. But, I started going there in the early 2000s. And I remember when Hush was coming out, I didn't really understand what an arc of a comic was. Right. So I would pick up like a random issue with the Joker on the cover because I thought it looked cool, or like a random issue of Daredevil because, I liked the idea of this guy with horns on his head. And the fact that he was blind, it was interesting to me. So that's kind of how I started buying comics. And then, eventually I started buying full arcs and like understanding the storytelling aspects of it, that it wasn't just sort of a one-shot deal. But yeah, Gotham Knights was a one-shot deal though, pretty much. And that was a cool one to be growing up with, was that it was like that would start a story and end a story, So that was a cool one to be buying at the time. Which also had great Brian Boland covers. But in terms of professionally, I've been cleaning out my parents' house just because they're getting older and we need to, move them on out of there. There's too many stairs and it's, too dangerous for them. But I've been cleaning stuff out and I've been finding these old pages I had drawn, and I just was writing comics and drawing comics from very early. And I didn't even know it. So it's always been there. And I was always, writing movies or short stories, and I just sort of never really wrote like an actual comic script until I wrote a sort of a spec Batman idea. And that was a couple years ago, but I didn't really do anything with it. I just did it, I think, to see if I could do it. And then eventually, I was just having no success with trying to get these films off the ground, especially short films, because it's hard to get investors in to give you money to make a short film if you're not a known entity, unless if you're just putting your own money into something, which I had no money. So really the idea just came from, I wanted to tell my stories, and, it was, do I write them as, as like a novel or a short story, or what do I do? And, I started thinking that they were really best in a visual medium, and the other love of mine is, other than movies, is comics.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a no-brainer. And at this point, I think that it's just, it couldn't exist any other way. I'm glad it never happened as a short film.
Yeah. Who knows?
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think it's interesting because you mentioned something that I think we just kind of brushed over, but it's like, this is your first, like you said, major published book. And, one of the questions that I know me and Amy had that we were curious about is like, what is your, what was your perception of like, hey, this is what my schedule and my life is going to be like when I'm writing this book, versus now you're like halfway in through the second arc. Like, how has that changed being your first book?
It's the thing that has really, that my eyes have been open to, has been that just how all encompassing it is. I will be out with my girlfriend, like going for a walk, and she'll be talking about, something, oh, we need to get this, or we need to get this. And I'll go, maybe I should have Eversol, I'll do this, I'm always just thinking about it. A lot of times I will literally be going to sleep and I'll have an idea and I have to get up and then write it. So it really is just all encompassing. I'm always thinking about it. And I think that that's probably the case for other writers as well.
Yep.
Just in that you're so fully engrossed in the world of it and the characters, and I don't know. Yeah, you just need to. I guess you just live in it, like the characters do.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that when I was going into it, but that's one of the things that's come out of it. But yeah, when I was going into it, I don't think I really knew anything. I think we didn't even know that if we wanted to do a series like I said, we started doing it so Jacob was actually involved when it was a short film.
Okay.
So I had reached out to him just on his DeviantArt page because I liked his artwork on Kill or Be Killed. He was doing the backups.
Oh, okay.
Where they would do an essay on a film that was sort of tangentially an influence on the book, and then Jacob would do the illustration. And so I saw his artwork there, and I reached out to him on his DeviantArt page, and I said, "Hey, I really like your stuff. If you like my script, maybe you would want to do some concept art for me. I'll pay you. I can't pay you much, but if you like the script, maybe you'll be down." And he liked the script enough that he said, "Sure." And so he did 5 pieces of artwork, and at that point, Joe Bob was 50 years old, and he had no mustache.
I'm glad you guys went with the mustache.
Yeah, so at a certain point, I was trying to get things off the ground. I was already back in New Jersey, but my producer's out in LA, and we were trying to get things going, and it's hard, especially when you're trying to shoot in Texas, where all of a sudden everything gets more expensive because you're flying people out, you're bringing equipment down from El Paso, to Marfa or Fort Davis, wherever you are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really hard getting the money together. And at a certain point, I just got frustrated enough that I was like, I emailed Jacob. It was right before Christmas, I think 2018. And I just said, do you want to do this as a comic book instead? And he said, sure. And so at first, I think we were literally just thinking we were going to do this one shot. And there was no guarantee we were going to get Image either. We sent it to a bunch of places. We got a few no's. A little bit of interest from some others, but they were sort of wishy-washy on it. And then after a couple of months, we got Image on board.
Wow.
And at that point, we had kind of teased an idea for a series. And when we were greenlit, we were kind of emailing back and forth, and we're like, I guess we have a ongoing series.
Wow.
So, all of a sudden it became very real. And so all of a sudden all these ideas, I had a lot of ideas that took place in Texas. I had this thing that took place they were all different areas, but they were all sort of West Texas, which is the area I was most familiar with. And I was going to tell you what they were, and then I decided I'm not, because I don't want to.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw the gears working and you pulled back. Nice.
But so I just sort of decided, what if they all just took place in one place, in the one county? So all these different ideas, all of a sudden the sheriff that was in the other story is now the sheriff in all the stories. And all of a sudden things started to click into place of why certain things are happening in that story, or because of this other thing that's happening in this other story. And so everything just started to click into place. So that was something that was really unique, and that I wasn't expecting as well with having a comic book series.
Right.
And I also don't know what I'm doing, so just sort of figuring it out as I'm going. Well, it's so far so good, or as I've been saying in the book, so far so bueno.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a really cool experience, and I hope to one day be at conventions again. I'm still booked for this trip to England, hopefully in October. I'm all vaccinated. I'll gladly get a booster shot.
Yes.
It was. I mean, I hope I'm not like putting the Comic Con on blast, but it was all expenses paid, and I've never left the country before, so I was like, I can't say no.
It's a work trip. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and I've never met Jacob before, and it's like right next to where he lives. So
wait. You guys have never met in person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
At
I don't know
first it
why
was all
I didn't
emails,
even think
but
about that. Yeah, that's insane.
yeah, we talk pretty much daily on Instagram. That's our WhatsApp, I guess.
Okay.
We just talk. We're always bouncing things back and forth. We sometimes email if it's like an official thing, but it's mostly just through Instagram. And even just like personal updates. He moved into a new apartment. I'm moving into a new apartment. He got two new cats.
Nice.
So he sent me a
Congrats.
video of his cats. So it's kind of cool that we have a friendship that has blossomed out of our work relationship.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
great.
And it definitely makes it even more impressive that you are not from Texas. He's apparently definitely not from Texas, but this world feels
yeah,
very lived in and very. And you've spent some time in Texas, but it's very interesting for you guys to have such a connected voice to Texas, but you've never really like lived there or have extensive history there, as far as I know.
yeah. No, I mean it comes down to a lot of research, which I mean I have a monthly subscription to Texas Monthly,
Nice.
and I read Texas news pretty much frequently, and I mean it's yeah, it comes down to a lot of research, and I have been there before, and just when I was there, I just chatted with everybody that I could, and the people that I knew were very like very much like the people in the comic. The well came from them.
Well, yeah.
The name Joe Bob is literally my friend's father's name.
Nice.
So and yeah, so I don't know. It just and obviously it just also imagination comes into play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually send stuff to my buddy. His name is Malcolm, but I usually send it to him to sort of be like, is this kosher? Does this work? Is this Texas enough? There was one thing in particular in issue 8 that I was like, does this make sense? And he okayed it. He was like, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, all right. So,
Oh, good. Malcolm
Official
approved.
stamp of
yeah,
approval.
exactly.
Yes.
So I have an approval that I go through to get everything okayed, and but yeah, it's
Your ghost editor. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Well, Chris, thank you so much, man, for joining us. We don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you've got a
Sure.
birthday to get to, so
Yeah.
we don't want to hold you up that much longer. I know it's getting a little late for you, but seriously, man, thank you for joining us. Seriously, it was an honor. I love this book.
Thank you
Everyone
very
should be
much.
reading that Texas Blood right now. It's incredible.
And
Yeah, we
I'll
have
just
some people.
say issue 9 out next week. Make sure you
Yes.
grab it.
Yeah,
All right, you guys
the
can look for
trade
the
is out
trade
as well.
collection.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Boom, Amy. Boom.
Synergy. That's brand synergy. We've got some people in the chats who they've been taking a look through on the image website. The art looks really interesting. Yes, so if you pick it up for the writing, the art, those awesome essays in the back.
Scott Voss says, being from Texas, I'm going to have to check this out. Nice.
I hope I pass the test.
Yeah. Scott, join the local comics society and let us know if Chris has passed the test. I'm sure he'll be dying to know.
The
Yes.
official
Please.
Texas test.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chris Condon. Anything else? I mean, hey, we got some time. Anything else coming out? We got issue 9 next week.
Issue 9 is next
Right.
week. I would recommend people check out our Patreon. Jacob and I have a mutual Patreon. It's patreon.com/Condon Phillips. We post on it monthly, sometimes weekly. I have a podcast that I do on there, which I interview various writers and artists, and that's the birthday girl right there. And Jacob posts behind the scenes stuff, pencils. He also posts exclusively on there with artwork from original artwork from
And anytime
from the
he's doing
issues.
a bike marathon, he lets us know. That's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
also that
charity bike runs.
Any
yeah,
cat
so-
pictures?
Well, yeah. So I mean, even if I'll give you a little teaser, but all this 1981 stuff is drawn. I believe he draws it digitally, prints it out, does the inks by hand. So he may actually draw it by hand too. But either way, the inks are by hand. So he actually has original artwork for this. He usually just does all digital. But yeah, so we do have that, and that is exclusively through our Patreon. So if people would like that, the Patreon.
Boom. There it is.
All right.
And also, make sure you sign up for, or pre-order New Burn
Yes.
#1. It's out in November. Noir-vember, if you will.
With Jacob Phillips, the artist on that Texas Blood, and another
Jake's new book.
upcoming writer that no one's ever heard of. So that's Chip Zdarsky.
Yes. Yeah. Who's that?
Gotta keep him humble.
Small fries. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be a good sport about it.
And then Rob, can you get the Twitter @tag one more time? That's your Twitter, and is that also
and
Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm
Chris
more active on
Condon.
Twitter, but
Yeah.
Give me a follow on both. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Be a lamb. Well, Chris, thank you so much. I'm sure you're itching to get to that birthday party, get some dinner. Thank you for joining us, man, on the Comics Hall. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Paul, Amy, thank you both very much. I appreciate it.
So great to meet you. Hopefully,
bye, Chris.
Hopefully got a lot of new writers. We'll hopefully see you again soon. Readers.
I'll take writers and readers. I'll take anyone.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
Hey, and congrats and good luck on your sophomore arc here.
Oh yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been great.
Very excited to see it come to life. It's very, very, very rewarding. Let's say.
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Well, Chris Condon,
All right.
everyone, thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Bye.
Amy, it
So
seems
cool.
like we only attract people who are super mean and don't credit their artists. Like, I feel like Chris, we knew that Chris was going to be awesome when we asked him to be on it. But I mean, I love when people come on and the first thing they talk about is like the team that helped make it possible. Because it is. I mean,
it's such a crazy team sport. Like, again, we got a little bit of hint of that when we saw Chris Sanchez from Mad Cave on Wednesday. We got to talk about letterers and just all of the different processes that go into this, and how you guys heard that Chris works on those back material essays, but Jacob also does design for them. So there's the visual element to even those written pieces. It is such an amazing experience. Please, please, please be sure to check out that Texas Blood. You can pre-order. We got the next issue coming out soon. There is a trade collection. Also, you can check out the first issue for free on imagecomics.com. So if you are curious to see about that awesome art by Jacob Phillips, you guys can check that out. And then, of course, that writing. And if you are from Texas, I think you got to make sure it passes the Texas test. And you guys can follow him on his social media. Just a lot of fun. And you know what? We didn't even get to ask. This is part of the comic book casserole cinematic universe, isn't it? Between you and that issue of Haha with Pound Foolish, there's comic book casseroles making a reoccurrence.
I love it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we still have a little bit of show left for you guys.
We do. I was going to say, we still got some stuff for everyone. You know what we're going to do now is actual comic book news. We've got a bit. Amy, do you want to kick it off with us? Boom. Graphic.
Yes. So you guys, we got to talk about this in the local comic society first this week. So if you've joined there, you're going to want to make sure that is the first place I always go to share news. I am very excited about this. You may or may not have heard of a new upcoming graphic novel called Squad. So Eric Feig's Picture Start has teamed up with Lionsgate Television to adapt Squad, which is an upcoming young adult graphic novel by Maggie Tokuda Hall and Lisa Sturl. You might recognize the name Lisa Sturl from Witchblood or The Modern Witch Tarot. As well. And Squad is like a little bit of Jennifer's Body, a little bit of Mean Girls, a little bit of Teen Wolf. It's about a girl named Becca who's new in a school, and she realizes that the popular clique is actually werewolves who feast and kill. They feast on budding sexual predators, so they think that they're doing good work by taking out these creeps. But now, since she's found out their secret, she's faced with a choice to either join them or else. So she's got to deal with her own kind of morality of like, who's actually the monster here? Like, is being a clique full of teenage girl werewolves like actually that fun? I'm super excited about it. Lisa Sturl's art is amazing. You guys can pre-order it right now. It'll be out this fall. It hasn't even been published yet, and it's already picked up for a television series. But you can pre-order early. And if you check out, I don't have her Twitter address, but if you go to Maggie Tokuda Hall's Twitter, there is an email address where if you show them proof of pre-order, they'll send you some neat werewolf stickers. So
you can never have too many werewolf stickers.
If there's no other reason to pre-order the book, you get werewolf stickers if you submit your information and proof of pre-order. So I'm very excited about that.
And sort of staying within the realm of horror, we've got a new horror anthology from Archie. So Archie Comics is launching a new anthology one-shot, Chilling Adventures in Sorcery #1 this November. A sequel to 2020's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina presents Madam Satan's one-shot by Elliot Rahal and Julius Oda. Elliot Rahal also known for doing, I believe, Maniac in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Love that book. Love it so much. And Julius Oda. So this new anthology special will see Archie's Queen of Hell becoming a story host akin to Twilight Zone's Rod Serling, or What If?
Rod Serling.
What did I say? What did I say?
You said Sterling.
Oh, Rod Serling. I was also thinking my brain first went to Rod Stewart. That's not it. It is not Rod Stewart.
Just like Rod Stewart hosting the Twilight Zone.
Like Rod, which would be a Twilight Zone episode in and of itself. Or What If Uatu the Watcher, to tell stories from across the Archie multiverse. So, yeah, Queen of Hell essentially is...
Archie's got a multiverse now.
Good for Archie. Yeah. I mean, I love it. I'm in for anything that's like horror anthology. I'll read it, especially like this. It seems, if we're talking Comics Hall lingo, AIM, it seems pretty accessible. So I don't read a lot of Archie, but I feel like I could pick this up and be completely fine.
I'm definitely going to be checking this out. I'm very excited about it. And even I love how, because calling back to our interview with awesome Chris Condon, I love how there was a generation of adults who, when they were children, read these wholesome Archie digests, and it was all haha fun and cute. And now Archie is just leaning full throttle into, like, they still do Archie, but then they've got their horror side and really taking Sabrina to the occult. And I love Vampironica. We had Jughead the Hunger, where Jughead was a werewolf. So there's just a lot of fun stuff going on there. So I think that anthology, and again, that'll be anthology. It's not like Haha or Silver Coin, where it's a bunch of different issues with different stories. It'll be one collected one shot with shorter stories, kind of more like the Marvel's Voices anthologies.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm super into it.
There we go. And
then I put this one on here because November's solicitations just came out for Marvel as well, and I'm also super biased. I love Kate Bishop. Writer Marieke Nijkamp and artist Enid Balam are bringing Kate Bishop back to New York. So she's leaving her West Coast Avenger days behind in a new Marvel miniseries that sees the Archer investigating a jewel heist back in the Big Apple. This series will launch in November, just in time for Hawkeye on Disney Plus, which will be November 24th. So if you guys are looking for more Kate Bishop, I know we did just have an America Chavez miniseries, kind of priming people for her Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness debut. We're also going to have a refresher on Kate Bishop. I'm very excited about that.
Nice. Very stoked.
Yeah. And so that's our news for today.
Our news, yeah, that's our comic book news. We do have a couple of other things because we've got some time. We've got about 20 minutes to kill, Amy. It's our show.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, we've been telling people all week that they should join the side.show/your LCS, Local Comics Society. Now, LCS, as we went over on Monday in our awesome first issue debut, LCS is Local Comics Store. That's the common acronym for, like, oh, where's your LCS? Where's your local comic store? But some people don't have LCS stores, brick and mortar, near them. So we wanted to create our community to kind of emulate that feel of the comics community, just have people that you can bring those discussions to. So side.show/your LCS is our Local Comics Society group. We bring it to you, and people all week long have been doing awesome continuations of conversations we've been having all week. So first of all, in honor of today, the final day of our show, Andrew Wershborn, who's been in every one of these shows all week long, if I can remember correctly, says the final issue of Comics Hall Takeover. So in honor of that, what are some of your favorite final issues? And I don't know, Rob, if we have the image for this, but if not, oh, there we go. Perfect. He shared a collage of 3 of his favorite final issues.
Wow.
All 3 would continue either in a new series X-Force, a second volume Generation 2 Transformers, or just had numbering under a new publisher as if nothing had happened, like G.I. Joe. So there's all these different ways to end a series. Lots of great discussion going on there. Oh, Andrew did miss Wednesday due to work, but we've seen you around all week, and we really appreciate you popping up in all the chats. And so a lot of people were sharing their favorite final issues. I personally shared one of mine, which was no surprise to anybody, Mighty Thor 706. that beautiful like white cover of Jane Foster holding the hammer. But I also, one of my favorite like ending lines is from Alias number 28 after Jessica Jones has told Luke Cage that she's having his baby and they want to keep it. And he says, all right, then new chapter. And that's just, like the scene pulls out over all the apartments in Hell's Kitchen. Just all right, then new chapter.
Oh,
that is
awesome.
one of my favorite endings to a comic book because it just feels so good and just feels like, oh, and there's going to be another series right after this. So
yeah, I think
how about you, Paul?
It's no surprise. I've talked about it before, but I think one of my favorite endings, with a nice bow on top, was Green Lantern number 50, which wrapped up Jeff Johns' like 6-year, maybe longer than that, 6 to 8 year run with the character, essentially starting at Rebirth and taking it all the way into the New 52. I loved it. That was one of the, oh my God, one of the most heart-wrenching moments in that comic. Everyone knows that, Hal Jordan or the Green Lantern Corps, their arch nemesis is the Yellow Lantern Corps with Thal Sinestro. Also, Sinestro's first name is Thal, if no one knew that. He does have a first name. And so I just always loved that in that issue, there's this iconic line where they're fighting and he says, it was a shame, that or Hal Jordan says it was a shame we could never be friends. And then Sinestro says, the real shame, Hal, is that I thought we were always friends through this whole 8-year arc. And it sort of takes your breath away from the righteousness that is Hal Jordan, who is, I love all of the Green Lantern. I think Jon Stewart just barely edges out Hal Jordan for me, but I love him for different reasons. But like, that's one of the moments where I was like, I felt all 8 years of reading. I was going to say the end of Snyder and Capullo's Batman run is pretty iconic, Mark. I was also going to say the end of what is it? New Guardians, which was a really fun New 52 story that really helped flesh out a lot of the Lantern Corps, and it ends essentially with Jon Stewart getting ready to take on the role of leading the entire Corps now, and it just ends with him saying "in brightest day," and then the comic ends like he's getting ready to do what he's just back to work. I just love that. It's so optimistic, and it fills you with hope and will and everything that I love about it.
The end of The Wicked and Divine left me sobbing through the entire final issue. It was just like that was just such a gut punch, which is why I'm afraid of when Kieran Gillen gets to end a series, and we're coming up on the end of Die very soon, and I'm very scared for that. But The Wicked and Divine like really hit me like no other. We've also got Brendan Hassan in YouTube saying the end of Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Whoops.
I clicked it at the same time. Yeah, end of Neil Gaiman's Sandman. I've never gotten to the end of Sandman.
Some spoilers for The Strangers from Malibu Comics.
Yeah, I'm not pulling that one up, but Ray Flynn has got
we see you.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there's just so much about like investing in a book, and it feels really personal, and then it ends. Like, I personally, to take the words from a one Tony Stark, part of the journey is the end. And I love it. I love when the book ends because I don't want it to go on. I don't want it to go on forever, because then you can appreciate it. And that's a good thing about comics, is it can end and then you can just go right back and read it there. That's why, like, for instance, like, I will probably now, after having our interview today, Amy, I probably will have actual tears when that Texas Blood ends. Like, just because I've got a tote from them. I'm on their Patreon. I've been reading it, and we've been singing their praises on the Comics Hall together for almost 2 years now. And now after talking to Chris, it makes it even more personal. And for so many people out there, that Texas Blood could be replaced by something else. Maybe you met the writer, maybe you met Snyder and Capullo, and they were really nice to you. And
I cried in front of Jason Aaron because he was way too nice to me.
I was gonna say, we have these people. Like, I love, what like Chris Condon does, and I love that book. And so it's really fun for us to bring people on like Chris Sanchez, like Chris Condon. We've had Scott Snyder on to show you, like, they're just human people who are nerds, and we just happen to appreciate these things that they do.
The thing for me is you can tell how much joy they get doing this work, because I think I'm sure it's not a secret, but no one gets into comics going, I'm going to make $1 million, and I'm going to make $1 million, and I'm going to make the next Batman. Like, that's not what they're there for. Like, we have people, of course, like Scott Snyder, who got to write an amazing run of Batman, but we've also got people like Chris Condon, who created this series, and it was like, okay, we're going to maybe start with a one shot. We don't know what we're going to get. And now he has ambitions and aspirations and a plan for 30 issues, and that's so amazing. And so it's all about the love of the craft. As a writer myself as well, I appreciated the fact that he's always thinking about the story. And I have a notebook by my desk because I've lost too many good ideas, or by my bed, I've lost too many good ideas to going back to sleep. And so you just kind of can't let that pass you by. If any of you guys have any other questions, like just comic questions and stuff, this will also be the time for them. But I do want to bring up another discussion. I don't think it's as long of a discussion, but a really interesting thing that we had. Ben Feldman, asked a question in Local Comic Society. Do you listen to music while reading? I find that when I play something in the background, it helps me retain information better. And we had some split thoughts on this in the group, because sometimes people find music distracting, especially if it's music with lyrics. Might be a little bit distracting while you're trying to read. However, if a comic book tells me to listen to music, I'm gonna listen. And I've brought this up before. There've been a number of really effective uses in comics with an editor's note or in the back material when there's suggested listening. And if you guys are following Witchblood, if you're not following Witchblood from Vault Comics, please do. I just got a sneak peek at issue number 6. It is amazing. It is like Buffy meets Sons of Anarchy, and it is cotton candy colored. Lisa Sturl again on the art. Just amazing work from that whole team. But there was an issue where the vampires took over a bar, and they like broke the jukebox into playing one song over and over. And then the editor's note says, if you can, stop reading here. Go put on a copy, and I think it was Chattahoochee River. It said put on a play of Chattahoochee River. It was a specific cover as well, and I don't remember off the top of my head. But they said read the next 5 pages to that song, because that's what's playing while the vampires take over this billiards hall. And it was so much fun. I just had a great time listening to it, because I was like, oh my God, that's the full experience that they couldn't obviously put the music into
multimedia sort of world building that goes into it. And we have some thank you. I was gonna say we have some responses from everyone in regards to this question.
Ben recently learned that Dark Knight's Death Metal has an associated soundtrack. There is fancy pressed LP vinyl that you can get at comic stores now, which I was so tempted the other day, but I was like, I got to stick to my books, but it looks cool.
Pretty cool. Sarah Sanders says, I have the TV on in the background when I read. I can't do that. I can't have TV on. I can't have The Office playing. Me and Amy will have our answers in a second.
There's more TV than The Office, Paul.
That is incorrect. So Aaron Landreth says, I cannot listen to music, TV, or someone talking while I'm reading because I can't focus on 2 sounds at once. It's also very true. Yeah, I get very distracted. I can't even see my phone, because especially working in social media, my work phone, I'll pick it up and check, or we have Slack and we'll make sure all that's working. Mark Lavoie says, I have music, but it has to be lyricless.
That's fair.
Yes.
Some mood music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I listen to a particular YouTube channel, which I don't
Lo-fi beats to read comics to.
Kind of, but it's licensed ambient music that there's one that's the music of Wakanda, and it's licensed by Marvel. And Marvel has done things very similar. They've done the one on Rainbow Bridge.
They did a 10-hour Asgard ASMR, and you bet your butt I listened to that. It's so cool.
They did the same one for Doctor Strange, and you're sitting in front of the Sanctum on Bleecker Street, and just watching the nonsense that's happening around that house, and you see the ghost bats, the ghost dog coming in and out. It's wonderful. But I listen to that stuff. I can listen to music, but it can't be the Avengers soundtrack that's too swelling. I need ambient. That's what I listen to a lot. So if you guys ever have any fun, geeky ambient stuff that you guys listen to, drop it in the LCS for us.
And I know
your LCS.
It's hard to find, and I don't think it got collected into the trade material because, again, the trades often leave out those letters columns at the back. But the original run of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye had, I think, at least one recommended song for each of the first 5 issues. I'm going to see if I can find some of that for you guys, because one of them is one of my favorite songs, and it was called Arrows, and it was just this really fun, upbeat song that felt very perfect for Clint and Kate's adventures. So I'll see if I can find a picture of that and maybe throw that in the Local Comic Society this weekend. Now, Single Songwriter has a question for us. What is the oldest or most valuable comic Amy and Paul have in their collections? I think oldest and possibly most valuable goes to my first appearance of Hawkeye. I don't know what it would be graded at. It's probably not super great condition, probably like a 5 or a 4 or something, but I have that's definitely the oldest one that I have. And then it depends on like if autographs are valuable, because again, I have that Jane Foster Thor that's signed by the entire creative team. I've got some rare variants, but I think for sure it's my Hawkeye first appearance.
Yeah, I've got I would say like the most valuable. I mean, I have a couple like first print copies of The Walking Dead that just live somewhere that is not even close to me anymore. It's so stop trying to get it out of me, everyone. Oldest is probably I've got the first appearance of Planet X, which is the multiversal planet where the Nazis won World War II in the Justice League. It's like that's where like Uncle Sam made his first appearance, and parts of that also played into Red Sun. That was like 1973. And so that's probably the oldest book I have. I don't have that many valuable books. They're emotionally valuable to me. And then I have that Deathstroke book as well. But that one's pretty great.
Sorry, Andrew Worshborn is saying links to the ASMRs. I'm going to drop real quick in the comments, see if this works and doesn't break everything. I'm going to drop the live from Asgard for 10 hours. They actually live streamed it. Yeah, there we go. It's going across the chats, and I'm never going to abuse that power again. When this show is finished, please go enjoy 10 hours of Asgard. And actually, the fun part is every now and again, different animations will play in the video, and you can kind of tell based on when the sounds start to change. And so like Loki materializes and laughs and stuff, or the Valkyries go flying by, and like it's super fun.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, if you guys have valuable comics as well, shout them out. Don't disclose their locations. Popo Decast.
Post them in the group. Nice.
Batman Adventures number 12.
I've held one. I don't own one though. And then as far as music goes as well, if I can give them one last shout out and plug, in the very first issue of that Texas Blood, Chris and Jacob collectively created a playlist on Spotify that would be like Music Joe Bob. It's called like Music Joe Bob Drives To. And it's really great because it's like, when he's just patrolling on a normal day, this is the music that's happening. I think it's actually called That Texas Blood, but in like his interview, it said like, in our head canon, it's, music that Joe Bob drives to, which is fun to say. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I like stuff like that. I mean, there have been multiple playlists that go along with comics. I love it.
Laura Keeles asks, what is your most emotionally valuable comic?
That's hard.
Yeah.
I've got a couple that mean a lot for very different reasons. I've got a really old copy of what was it? Emerald. It was maybe Sensation Comics. It's nothing. It's in like terrible condition, but it was like one of the first comics that I had ever gotten. Is because my grandpa was just clearing out his Foot Locker from the military, and they were just handing these comics out to them. And I have it somewhere. And I love it. Yeah, that's just like one of the more emotional comics that I have. But yeah, then all kinds of stuff. Like I brought it up. I still have it right here of Black Science that was signed by Rick Remender, because we had a full-on conversation, and just sitting there, being very meek and very quiet was Scott Snyder, who had just started writing on Detective Comics. Like he was right in the middle of the Black Mirror, and as soon as that wrapped, like he exploded and became Scott Snyder, and it was very nice. Like those kind of comics mean a lot to me, and then just various things. What about you?
So with obviously it's the Jane Foster Thor where I got all the members of the creative team to sign it, but apart from that one, I have the Brian Lee O'Malley variant cover for The Wicked and Divine #1, and that means a lot to me because I picked that one up while I was visiting one of my best friends in Ohio. She didn't have a comic store too near to her, but she was like, let's just go drive to the nearest one. It was a considerable drive. And we were just kind of picking stuff up. I remember being really excited about The Wicked and Divine, but this was still the period where I wasn't quite aware of like publishing schedules and when new books came out, but that one had just come out. That was the last copy they had in that store, a very small little store, and I don't remember the name of it. But she and I read it together because we like bought a bunch of comics and we're like, we're going to share these. But then at the end, we like divvied them up. We read that one during a thunderstorm. Like, it was so much fun. We were both like huddled on her bed. It was just a super fun, nostalgic experience. And then I remember she was like, I don't know, I wasn't super into that. And I was like, I loved that. She's like, okay, you can keep that one. And then like a really weird thing. I know we talked about earlier this week, like seeing yourself represented in stories. I think that came up during our interview with Chris Sanchez. There's an issue of Jessica Jones where the cold open, I guess, kind of before the actual story starts, is her in a convenience store, and then a shooting happens there, and she ends up like throwing a can at the guy who had the gun and helps the owner call the police and stuff. And then she's about to leave, and the guy's like, dude, you still have to pay for your cigarettes. And she's like, are you kidding me? I just saved the day. And they did that scene in season 2 of the series. But that mirrored very closely a traumatic experience that I had at a shooting in a convenience store. And it was one of those moments where I was like, this was so bizarre. Like and I still had to pay for the thing that I came in for when the police were like, everybody out. And the guy was like, no, you still have to pay for your Slurpee of all things. And I was like, I was really scared and shaken by that, obviously. But then my reading of Alias came after that. And, seeing that cold open to an issue, I was like, okay, so maybe it's not like the craziest thing in the world that happened to me if it also happens to Jessica Jones. Like it made me feel like okay, that wasn't, I mean, it was a very scary experience, but like it's not so far out of the realm of imagination that someone like Brian Michael Bendis couldn't imagine it happening to Jessica Jones. So like emotionally, like that one means a lot to me.
Yeah, and there's representation is more than skin deep. It's like there could be, like wherever you are at that point in your life. I mean, it's so many different things. I mean,
there's always those books that
forever
find you at the right time in your life for that part of the story. So it's good stuff. Now we did have one more set of pictures we wanted to share, because one of the best conversations, I just love any thread in our Facebook group that just gets people to share all their favorite comic book covers.
Yes,
we talked about sketch covers. We talked about sketch covers this week. So you guys, there's an amazing thread. I couldn't pull every single one of them, but holy heck. Let's get some of them up here. I think let's start with Andrew Wershborn's. He submitted this Chrissy Zulo Princess Leia. Oh my God.
Whoa.
Amazing. And there is let's stay in Star Wars. Ashley Brienzo had this Rey drawn by Joe Caroni on an issue of Star Wars. That is the Jason Aaron and John Cassidy #1. That's love when the sketch artists go on the back of the comic too. Super, super cool. What else we got here? We've got a Chris Uminga Spider-Man. Anthony Kennedy submitted that. Super cute. I love Chrissy Zulo and Chris Uminga. You might recognize Chris from that DC Direct line that are they DC Collectibles or DC Direct? I don't remember. He did that really cute stylized version of the Justice League. Those really cute little big heads. Love those. And then Paul, do you want to take us through a couple of the other ones? Do you have the thread open?
Let's see. Who do we have up next here? Let's go with right above that, Rob. It's Pete Tano. I just can't see who's the artist on this, Pete.
Sia Ohm.
Oh, wow, this is incredible. This is one of the ones that I'm not familiar with it, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, it looks to be like for a creator owned or it's from Aspen. Oh, yeah, Aspen. Lola from Aspen.
Okay.
Aspen
Comics. It looks great. I love the portrait and the just leaving like the white all up here too is pretty sweet. And then I think lastly...
Sorry, Ben Feldman says, Chrissy and Chris are fave couple in comics. They are fantastic. Just amazing. How much talent is allowed to be in one couple?
Apparently that amount.
And then this last one was actually done by the person who submitted it as a gift for a friend.
Yeah,
Corbin Michael Delaney.
Corbin Michael Delaney is Venomized. Wow, look at that. Like Goldar.
Like Power Rangers.
Yeah, that one's great.
And this is a gift for a friend, so he shared that. So good, again, with the backside of the cover as well.
That's
super, super cool.
Oh, this one's great. Clearly, this is the part of the notes that I did not see, everyone.
It's all good. Paul was very busy being on a number of other shows today, so I had time to compile some of your amazing pictures. And there were even more in that thread.
Yeah.
So please, please, please go take a look. Side.show/yourLCS. Share yours. I've got a couple of sketch covers that I will post some pictures of
Nice.
in there, but I've got a Jane Foster Thor by Tom Hodges, and then I drew one on a Black Widow cover. Those are actually like really like nerve-wracking to draw on because you're like, oh my god, I'm drawing on top of a comic.
You only get one go at it.
Yep.
Too. No erasing, I imagine. Yeah, we'll hear. How about this? Where is
Ariane Landreth says, where's the thread? How long ago was it posted? So it was posted in side.show/yourLCS. It was about a day or two ago, so it should still be pretty high up in the group. There's a couple hundred new users this week, but it's one of the conversations I think that's been bumped up. We can comment on it, and hopefully that'll make it rise to the top. And then it was begun by Andrew Wershborn, so you guys can see that in the group.
I just
cool.
pinned it to the top for everyone. So when you go into side.show/yourLCS, it should be the first thing you see. Yeah.
And it was posted on Wednesday. Thank you for the confirmation.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's great. I only have one. I actually don't have a lot of sketch covers. I have one of Hal Jordan, and it looks like he's in a jeweler and is drawn by Ivan Rice. I was a commission, and it looks like he's picking out rings. So I thought that was really fun, and it's like this whole spread, but the only color in it, it's a complete black and white. The only color is the Green Lantern ring that's like kind of glowing. So that was really great, and he was very happy he acknowledged that he was very happy that he only had to add color to one small part of the.
Never underestimate
the
impact of spot coloring. It's very effective. That's so much fun. I'm more of a commission like on paper type person, or I have a sketchbook. That is my biggest thing where I'm like, I just want conventions to come back so I can get more artists to draw on my sketchbook, because I have one that's all the Hell's Kitchen based characters in Marvel. But then I had the next one I was going to start was letting artists do their favorite like interpretation of a Marvel swimsuit catalog, because I miss those comics so much. So that one doesn't have any drawings in it yet, but hopefully soon. Conventions. Well,
come on, conventions. Let's see, Amy, did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I mean, hopefully you guys are headed on over to side.show/yourLCS if you're not already in there. If you are joining us late, please, when this is over, be sure to scrub back through the video. Check out our amazing interview with Chris Condon. He was so awesome. Told us a lot about his writing process, a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff for that Texas Blood. And also you guys can find out where to support him on his Patreon, on his social media. You can check out the book. We've got a new issue out next week. There's a collection already available. You can read that first issue of that Texas Blood for free on imagecomics.com. So please check that out.
Yes. Well, thank you everyone for joining us all week and allowing myself and Amy and Rob to take over all of the shows and put on this event series that means a lot to us. We constantly say this, that anytime we get anyone to show up to the show, it's insane. But this literally started in like right before lunchtime, and me and Amy were talking about comics, and Autumn was just like, "You guys should do a show," and we're like, "We should do a show." And here we are.
They were like, "Stop yelling across the office." We'll put you in a room and you can go talk about comics in a locked closet. And then they said, "Oh, we should probably put a camera on them."
Yeah, we should probably put a camera on them. We're gonna do this anyway. Let's get some content out of it. So thank you guys so much for joining us all week. Seriously, we appreciate it so much. We're done. Comics Hall is done. Today we'll be back in a couple of weeks. The first
2 weeks,
Wednesday.
September 1st.
First week of September, we'll be back with a show, sort of wrapping up maybe a little bit of what happened in August. We've kind of filled you guys in, but also that show might be a little bit more of what to expect in September. We might have some new previews. You'll just have to tune in to find out wherever you're watching.
It is a surprise to all of us.
It is, because we also do not have that show written so far. Surprise, surprise. Wherever you're watching, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It means a lot to us. Get us in front of people's eyes, because we love talking comics and we love including you all in on the conversation. We're also a podcast. You can find us wherever you have podcasts. So I believe all 3 of our episodes this week will be up there at some point. Just patience. They will be up there at some point.
Yeah.
And
we're going to work to bring you guys more awesome interviews. Hopefully use this as a proof of concept and just really get some more awesome people coming through here to talk comics with you guys, because it's informative for us, but we want to make sure it's fun and informative for you guys as well. Lots of people behind all of these amazing books that we get to read every Wednesday. So it's really cool to check in with them.
Yeah. Me and Amy will be live again today at 5 o'clock, but that's exclusively in the Let Your Geek Side Show Facebook group, side.show/geek group. If you guys would like to join myself, Autumn, I think the Bossy Boss might be there today.
Oh boy.
We literally have no idea. That show is not written down ever. We just show up, press the start broadcast button, and go.
It will be what it will be, and you will enjoy it.
Yes.
All right.
Well,
so, once again,
thank you.
Thank you to Chris Condon. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Rob and to Alex for moderating these awesome shows. Again, thank you guys for joining us all week and for continuing the conversation inside .show/URLCS. You can also find us on social at The Comics Hall on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And as always, I'm Amy.
And I'm Paul.
And this has been The Comics Hall. Enjoy the takeover.
What